Hey there, neighbors. I am just doing my third installment of my reflection for the SDC portion of Hack Reactors Bootcamp. I can't speak in too many specifics, but I'll just kind of talk about some of the sticking points, some of the higher level strategies that I would change if I were to go back. So for me, I think one of the issues that I'm learning from that set me back, but I mean, it was also a learning experience. So whether or not that's actually setting me back or not, I guess you be the judge. But for me, I wanted to jump in. I want to get my hands dirty with some code. I wanted to start implementing things just right off the bat. So I did what I felt like was an appropriate amount of research. I looked at a number of databases. I found something that seemed like, oh, this will do. This is good enough. Jumped in. I think I already talked about kind of how that set me back. Then I, said, oh, wait, this, I'm going to go back onto the beaten path. I'm going to use MongoDB, which was a great, I experienced a lot of upsides to making that switch. But then I was also using Docker kind of right off the bat. So that, and nothing wrong with choosing to do this. It just felt relatively compared to a lot of my peers, I was kind of like lagging behind. So that was tough mentally. And just like knowing about myself. I wish I would have put more effort into like journaling and kind of like writing down what benefits I was getting out of exploring these new technologies versus just sticking to something that I already knew and taking it from there. Because I think that would have helped me stay on track mentally. So that's kind of like week one. Week two, then I was kind of back on the beaten path. I had figured out Docker enough that it wasn't really slowing me down anymore. Worked through the ETL process. My teammates were super helpful. Started to make some pretty good progress as far as like the sprint descriptions went in our learn. Ultimately at the end, didn't get to deploy. Got everything kind of ready for deployment. The place that I ended up was my app was in a container. My MongoDB was in a container. They were networked together. They were talking. My volume that I had been using on my Mongo container before I networked, or before I put my app in a container and networked it with a Mongo container, wasn't accessible or wasn't configured correctly to feed data to now my networked Mongo container. So I had some research left on that. I believe once I were to get all those things up and running and talking, then I would have been pretty close to deployment. Not that that would have been a small step, but more that, both of my main shippables were in containers. So push that up to Docker Hub, pull that down to an AWS like TC2 instance, and then getting my volume over there. I'm not really sure what works best for that. So there are a few more things to research and explore. I'll definitely be coming back to this sprint because it's like going through the full process. I think is really valuable, and but it was just constant learning from day one. It wasn't always learning towards the objectives necessarily. I mean, it was, but it was also kind of like taking some extra time to learn about the problems I was having, and it was just all. It feels like it's all relevant learning experience, although I didn't get to fully deploy my my SDC Capstone project. So, overall review of this project, definitely the most mentally taxing project so far. There's not a lot of visuals. If you're somebody who likes to see the thing you made up and running, see it interactable, this is going to be tough. I realized this was mentally by far the toughest sprint that I've done. But it was also a great learning experience. I think it's really relevant to have, these types of experiences where you're feeling behind, and you still have to make like systematic progress towards your goal. Because saying, "Oh, I'm so far behind, I'll just wait till the next sprint," isn't going to fly if you're in a job that just needs this task done. I did seek out a lot more help than I usually do in my sprints, and that was great. I think that's good practice. You know, what else? What else? Yeah, I don't know. Next up is our minimum viable product project, and I'm super excited about that. So I've tossed around a few different ideas, made kind of a last second switch over the last couple of days, and we'll see what we get out of that. All right, till next time.